So the Bengals got kind of exposed, huh? Yeah, and not all that impressed with the Ravens either. Or the Browns, for that matter. Good morning to you. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer up daily shots of Penguins and Pirates right where you found this. It's Steelers versus Bears tonight at Heinz Field, and it was this close, thumb pressing against forefinger close, from being an opportunity for the Steelers to end the evening atop the division. Now, you can say what you want about, AFC North football and how these teams are always going to be clawing at each other and you never know who's going to win and all the games are decided by 3 points and everything else here. But if we're being real here, there isn't anyone, including Pittsburgh, that's going to run away with it. That's my takeaway. There isn't some dominant team. And I'll take that further because that also applies to the conference. Lest I bring up the Bills losing to the Jaguars. This is not what we think of with the AFC, back when it was Tom Brady and Bill Belichick ruling everything and you had another team that looked super strong, often Pittsburgh. If not, then it was Baltimore. This isn't that. This isn't that. This is not going to be a conference where you say, well, that team over there and that team, those are going to be locks to make it. There's not a single lock anywhere. So what you have to do, if you're the Steelers, is take care of business. The Ravens, I don't want to say they got lucky, but they kind of did. I mean, when Lamar Jackson throws an interception in overtime, that really should be game over, except that the Minnesota offense is just pathetic. But that's somewhat lucky. They ended up taking care of business, but, could have lost. Same way the Bills lost. Same way the Steelers could lose this game tonight. I'm not expecting it. I think the Steelers will win rather easily. But they could. They could. And while you're already on this little run, you might as well put your foot down. Take care of the Bears. Take care of the Lions. Get however geared up you need to take on these minimal challenges week after week and improve your football team on the way toward facing the better opponents that'll be in front of you down the line. And oh, by the way, that will start. It has to start with the defense. This portion of Daily Shot of Steelers is brought to you by Point Park University. Choose from nearly 100 career-focused programs leading to bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. Choose when and how you prefer to do that studying, whether it's at Point Park's gorgeous downtown Pittsburgh campus, whether it's online, maybe a flexible hybrid format works best for you. Learn more about all of this at pointpark.edu. Justin Fields is going to be the name that you'll hear the most over these next few hours leading up to kickoff, and I'm sure after kickoff. He, of course, is the rookie out of Ohio State that Mike Tomlin appeared to be developing something of a crush on. You'll recall before the draft when he showed up at the Buckeyes Pro Day in Columbus and was caught on film really vocally encouraging the kid as he went out to begin participating in his various drills. I'm watching you. In a fun way, not in a negative way. And it looked really like a great show of respect. And Fields has, to his credit, shown increasingly well for Chicago with each passing week. He's beginning to look like Chicago's quarterback of the future. And there's certainly a strong sentiment to that effect in that city. But he's not there. And the Bears don't really have their running backs or their running game going. They don't have much of a passing game to speak of. And they're not that great defensively either. So this game will come down to one thing that if you're the Steelers, you really like it to come down to, and that's keeping the quarterback from running. Trivia question. When's the last time a quarterback really ran wild against the Steelers? Trivia answer, I have no idea. And I've covered pretty much every game for 20 years now. Whenever it was a long time ago. Because that's something that even when the Steelers' defenses weren't very good, and I'm talking about only whatever that was 4 or 5 years ago when the secondary stunk, it was the passing yards that they were giving up. They would always find a way to contain a rushing quarterback. The reason for that is, principally, that if you have a pass-rushing, blitzing type of defense, that can work hand in hand with keeping the quarterback in the pocket. That's the reason Lamar Jackson's never had even a decent game against Pittsburgh. Well, if Lamar's not going to run against the Steelers, Justin Fields won't either. Here's what T.J. Watt had to say about that component of the game over the weekend.
I think it's just another great challenge, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about the National Football League is there's just so many great players, and a guy like this who's a top pick in the NFL draft, and a guy who's so mobile and can throw the ball, it's always a unique challenge for us. And just looking forward to getting after him, but they have a great running attack to help him out a little bit. And anytime a quarterback is able to move around the pocket and create escape lanes, it creates a certain type of challenge for the rushmen, myself included.
And on top of having TJ on one collapsing bookend, you've got Alex Highsmith on the other. Highsmith is well advanced of where Bud Dupree was at this stage of his career, meaning Bud's. But Bud, before he left Pittsburgh, had gotten really, really good at sealing the edge on the run, whether that's a quarterback or a running back. Highsmith is showing highly encouraging signs of that. It obviously can't be just about them. As Cam Hayward said after the Cleveland game, as only he could, when asked about how they were able to contain the Browns' running game, including keeping Baker Mayfield in the pocket, he said we stayed in our damned gaps. Well, that has to apply not just to Cam, but to Chris Wormley, Isaiah Buggs, and the other defensive linemen who'd been gashed by the Seahawks before the bye week. And above any of those things, I'll lay the onus here on the inside linebackers. Yes, Devin Bush, Robert Spillane, and especially Joe Schobert with his big play showed way better in Cleveland than they had before that. That can't be the anomaly. That has to become the norm. Those guys let way too many Seahawks get past them and put way too much onus on the secondary to make tackles. If the Steelers can keep the Bears from running, they win, and they win comfortably. If they win, regardless of the score, they're going to heighten the belief, the faith in the fan base, maybe at a higher point than it was even after Buffalo when everybody was all sky high. And I said so at the time, irrationally so. Because this is different. Now you'll have had a chance to see not only the Steelers' growth, but a way, way, way more realistic look at what the rest of this division is about and what the rest of this conference is about. The Steelers just need to win and keep getting better and keep watching it play out. Do not write this team off Well, in the middle of a winning streak. Don't write him off in the middle of a winning streak. When we come back, just one question. Our J1Q comes from Doug, who asks, if this is to be Ben's final year, how do you see it playing out? Do you think he's already decided and will announce it before the final home game and bask in the adulation, or will he wait until after the season and take weeks or months to decide if, in fact, he is allowed to decide? Lots of layers to that one, Doug. If you're asking, and it seems like you did there at the beginning, if he's going to do some kind of Chipper Jones farewell tour, for any of you who don't know what that means, the former great Atlanta third baseman spent the entire year with the Braves just going around collecting gifts from everybody, and it was, I don't know, I really wasn't all that into it. I don't see that, if only because, A, the Steelers would have to be a non-thing at that stage of the season for Ben to even conceive of doing something like that, because that would be a massive distraction. I mean, massive. And I don't see the Steelers being a non-thing, as I went over in the first segment. B, I don't see him making up his mind all that easily. It might already be made up. I was looking for clues really hard in Cleveland when he got, visibly emotional, for the better, after beating the Browns in that place and saying stuff about how he told Najee Harris and the offensive linemen to never take for granted winning here, winning in a road stadium. Well, that sounded like somebody who wasn't sure he'd have another chance to do that. So we're going to be looking for clues like that the whole way, and it's possible that nobody outside of Ben and those inside his four walls at home would know this. Or it's way more likely that he hasn't made up his mind. Chuck Noll, who gets quoted in our city the way a Greek philosopher would be quoted in Athens hundreds of years ago, once said that as soon as you start thinking about retiring, you've already retired. And I don't see how a professional athlete goes out on the field and competes, just guts it out, dives himself on the two-point play, hangs in the pocket when he knows Myles Garrett's coming. I don't see how you do that while you're thinking to yourself, yeah, this is going to be it for me. So I would be a lot more inclined to see Ben as just taking everything day by day, week by week, and in this case, season by season. I do not think you're going to see any kind of pomp and ceremony to it. I do think you're going to see him play out the season and then tell everybody he's going to take some time to think about it. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We'll do another one of these tomorrow when we're reviewing how the Steelers have further solidified their status in this shaky conference.